Hey, what's up guys? So I posted a video about 3 weeks ago introducing a concept that can be really useful for soloing through difficult chord changes. And so I wanted to expand on that idea because I think it's a really useful and effective and kind of a quick way to start playing through difficult chord changes. So I'm going to base this lesson again on giant steps, but this concept is really good for lots of different kinds of chord progressions. Giant steps is just good because there's kind of like a lot of you can really apply this concept pretty regularly. So in the lesson I posted before, I introduced this idea of playing 1, 2, 3, 5, starting on the root and playing degrees 1, 2, 3, 5 from the scale. So that's good for all the major 7 chords and all the dominant 7th chords. So to kind of expand on this, what I want to do is talk about how to use that 4-note grouping in different places on the guitar, which ends up being different fingerings. So taking this shape, let me actually move it to D because it's going to be a little more flexible in this zone on the guitar. So 1, 2, 3, 5, starting on D. That shape right there is just one of 8 different shapes that I want you to try to get familiar with. So I'm going to explain all this and show you how to practice it and implement it in a tune like giant steps. So 1, 2, 3, 5, those same notes could be played like this. Okay, it could also be played like this. So those 3 shapes right there are good for the bottom 4 strings. So if I were to move it to the low E string, then it would be or, okay. Now, when we take the same 4-note grouping and start it on the D string and combine it with the G string and the B string, as we know on the guitar, when you start combining stuff between the G string and the B string, it starts kind of changing the interval relationship. So if you start on the D string and incorporate the G and the B string, then you would get this. Okay, or this one, or this one, and this one. Okay, so that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you combine those 5 shapes with the first 3 shapes that I showed you, that gives you 8. So what that's going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to play through this chord progression or other chord progressions like it in a very kind of smooth way. A really important aspect of improvising through chord changes, especially chord changes where they're moving quickly, is finding the closest possible relationship between one chord and the next. So between, for instance, the first chord in giant steps, B major 7 to D7, this note right here, F sharp, is in common between those 2 chords. So, for instance, if I were to go B into that shape I showed you here, that keeps your hand in the same spot, right? And you can kind of see how it really helps to kind of smoothly work into the next chord. Okay, so a way to practice getting these 8 shapes under your fingers is to just take one shape and move it to the different keys. So, the one I did in the first lesson, I just went like this. Which is the first few chords of giant steps. But let's do this. Take that first alternative shape, this one, okay, and go through the same thing. So it would be okay. So that would be one way to practice it. Another way to practice it, this technique I'm showing you, is to take well, just one chord and figure out all the 8 shapes. I think it'd be really kind of cool to just do what I did there, where you just start with one shape and kind of run through the chords that way. Now keep in mind, you don't even have to know what the other notes are in the chords. You really just have to find the root of each chord. So yeah, I mean, taking that example there, you know, I'm just really in that instance there, I'm just thinking B, D, G, B flat, and E flat. So you really just have to find the root and then run the shape from there. One of the nice things about the guitar, right? So let me show you, you know, another variation on that. How about the one starting on the D string? So here's B to the D. Now you have to shift all the way down to get to the G here. Then B flat. And then all the way up to the E flat. So you can see how that's kind of impractical when actually trying to solo through a chord progression like this, but that would just be a way to practice getting comfortable with these different shapes. Yeah, this is definitely going to be part 1 of maybe 2 or 3 lessons about playing on giant steps. So I just wanted to focus on those first few chords of the tune, which is the first couple bars of the tune. Or the first 3 bars. Yeah, so let me give you an example of how this can really help to create really smooth lines through the chords. So let me play through the tune. Yeah, so I just used different shapes for B major 7, D 7, G major 7, B flat 7 to E flat major 7. So I don't remember exactly what I did, but B to D, one of those shapes, right? Here's that G into the B flat into E flat. Okay, so the last thing I'll leave you with in this lesson is the idea of once you have a group together, you know, like that alternative group I had where you started with your second finger and went B to D, G, B flat, and then E flat, is to, once you have that, is to then start on different places within the shape. And so keeping in mind where the root is going to be really helpful for you to be able to do that. So in the B here, maybe start on 1, 2, 3, the third of the chord. And that way you can create all sorts of different intervallic combinations. So you would get, and then into the D, into the G, B flat, E flat. You know, so you get all these really cool intervallic combinations. All right, guys. So, like I said, this is going to be one of a few more lessons on this because it's such a useful concept, and it really can help you to just immediately start playing through difficult chord changes. And you really don't have to learn all 8 of these shapes to start using it, of course. But to be kind of comprehensive about it, it really, really helps to have all those shapes at your disposal so you can kind of, like I demonstrated, weave your way in and out of the chords in the smoothest possible way, which is a really important aspect of really getting a handle of playing through difficult chord changes in a musical way. All right, guys, I hope you give that a try, and I'll talk to you guys again soon.